Roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes. Commissioner
Commissioner Bray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Steve Curry, you're up. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. I believe we have some slides that are gonna be up there.
You might have technical difficulty.
That's fine. I
No, we
brought a
don't.
printed copy if you guys got to be
We
here.
got a copy.
Oh, there we go. Great. Thank you. Yeah, my name's Steve Curry. I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan Association of Counties. For those of you who don't know me, one of my roles as Executive Director is I try to get out to as many county board meetings as possible over the year. I usually get to about half because there's only so many second Tuesdays and third Thursdays in a year. So, but I appreciate you giving me a few minutes of your time today to kind of run through what's happening with MAC and Lansing, and feel free to interrupt with any questions you may have or wait till the end, whatever you feel more comfortable with. So this just talks about the purpose of MAC. We're obviously known for advocacy first and foremost, both at the state and federal level. At the federal level, we cooperate with the National Association of Counties on federal issues. Education, we provide a variety of educational opportunities throughout the year, and I'll talk a little bit about our conferences. But we also do a variety of webinars that you can log in and check out. We have a county commissioner school. We have the new county commissioner school we do in cooperation with MSU each fall that I know some of you have attended in the past. And then services, we provide a variety of services through the association that counties and other local units of government can take advantage of. Next slide, please. This is the board makeup. We have 16 county commissioners elected. Typically, our elections are held at our annual conference. We will be having elections at this upcoming annual conference as we have some open board seats currently. We have 2 seats from each region, which ensures there's broad representation throughout the state. The board meets at least 4 times a year, typically at our conferences, and 2 or 3 other times. Slide. So this is the current MAC leadership. Melissa Daub is the board president from Wayne County. Antoinette Wallace from Macomb County's first vice president. Brian Kolk from Winnebago County is second vice president. And Stan Ponstein is the immediate past president from Kent County. Slide. So our conferences, we just had our MAC conference in Lansing a few weeks ago. Thank you for those of you that were able to attend. We'll have another conference coming up here in Grand Traverse County at the end of September, early October. The legislative conference is always in Lansing each year, so you can count on that. And the annual conference does rotate around to different locations year after year. Next slide, please. So these are some of our 2024 legislative accomplishments. Revenue sharing, we got a $30 million increase in county revenue sharing last budget cycle. And I'll talk a little bit about this budget cycle here in a little bit. We were able to get the sunset on the trial court funding fee extended out. Just to talk a little bit more about that, that sunset does expire in 2026. So as we're looking at changes to the court funding system, the Trial Court Funding Commission, which came out with 5 different recommendations back in 2019, I believe. That sunset's been kicked down the road a few times. Should that sunset go away, we estimate that cost to counties would be about $30 million in court costs should those fees not be able to be charged. So as we're looking at that sunset coming up, one of 2 things needs to happen. Either we look at reforming court funding and how it's funded and where those funds go, or we need that sunset to be extended again until we get that figured out. So we're going to be looking hard at that this year, working hard on that, at least getting some movement this year as we go into 2026. Of course, that's an election year. Just about everybody's on the ballot except county commissioners. So we don't expect a lot of activity in Lansing. So stay close to your computers on that as far as updates on what happens with court funding over the next 6 to 8 months. Sorry, go back. Still a couple more things to touch on there. Health and Human Services side. We've worked with MDHHS on the 1115 reentry waiver proposal. This has to do with those that are charged prior to conviction that are in your county jails. They lose all healthcare coverage, both private and publicly funded healthcare coverage prior to being charged. So should any sort of health emergency happen in your jail, you guys would be on the hook for those costs. What this waiver would do, and there's about 3 or 4 states that have gotten this waiver through the federal government, would allow that coverage, that private or public coverage, Medicare, Medicaid, to continue through their incarceration prior to being charged. So that would mean that any sort of health emergency would be covered. You guys would not have to foot the bill. So we worked with the Sheriff's Association on that. We worked with Community Mental Health Association on that as well. So we're waiting to hear back from the feds on that. And the PPT exemption reimbursement, that was a deal that was worked out in 2021. that increased the exemption level for small businesses, that they could get that PPT exemption when that deal was worked out in the legislature. We were promised the back bill on that. That back bill was finally come to fruition last legislative session to the tune of about $75 million for local unit governments that we were reimbursed for that exemption. So that was a good thing. And then some changes to lake levels. Some other legislation that we were able to fend off last session was minimum staffing is subject to collective bargaining. Statewide sanitary code was something that was talked about a lot, and publicly funded health insurance increase for counties. While we do not oppose that, we actually support some sort of increase so that counties can find ways to retain their employees as that becomes more and more difficult. What was proposed was something that was not sustainable for county government or local governments across the state. So we'll be working on that as well this legislative session. Next slide, please. Here are some of our priorities as we move into this legislative session. Revenue Sharing Trust Fund, we've talked about it a lot. I'm sure you all know about it. I'll talk about it a little more and give you some bill numbers to look for. The Earned Sick Time Act, that obviously was enacted earlier this year, bipartisan support for that. So that's now been changed. Compensating local governments for the veterans property tax exemption. I talked about PPT exemption and how the state reimbursed locals for that exemption, something they voted on at the state level. We'd like to see that for the veterans property tax exemption, not something where would affect veterans in any way, shape or form. They would continue to get that exemption, but the state would reimburse locals for that exemption. So we're working on that. Again, I talked about the court funding issue, and then I'll talk a little bit more about roads on a future slide. So next slide. We have had a change in Lansing. So the Republicans now control the House 58-52. The Democrats have a one-person vote currently in the Senate with one vacancy. The House did eliminate the local government committee. What does that mean? Well, a lot of our bills went through local government, of course. So now our bills get spread out over various committees. Just means more education for our staff going out there and educating those folks on local government, county government, what the bills, the impact those bills would have on us. Whereas before we would do that typically on more than in typically one committee. And the House does have a rule now with budget earmarks that if a legislator was going to earmark specific funds for a specific purpose, they had to have it in by a certain date. They had to have their name attached to it. That date has since passed. So now all those are in, and it'll be up to them in their budget process to determine which ones they want to put in the budget. It is part of the House priority to kind of limit those as much as possible to free up funding for roads. That budget rule does not apply to like revenue sharing or anything else that would be normally funded through the budget process. So just a note on that. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the budget a little bit. So on revenue sharing side, the governor recommended a 3.6% base increase. Does not look at the way that those extra funds were distributed last year. The House just passed their budget out and does have a 10% increase. So quite a different number there. Obviously, we're very supportive of the Senate side, waiting to hear on the House side on what their budget recommendation looks like. The Public Safety Fund, Crime Reduction Fund, you can kind of see the differences there. The governor recommended 75 million, but excluded counties unless you were contracting with a local unit of government for road patrol or something like that. However, the Senate recommended $100 million. 60 million of that would be earmarked for counties. So again, we're very supportive of the Senate side. There also is some policy bills that are going through that are a little different as well. So this has to do strictly with the budget process and the budget bills. There are policy bills that are separate from that. The governor recommended $80 million in tipping fees. The Senate did not have any. Tipping fees are those fees that are at the landfill. So I think right now we're at about 36 cents per ton. The governor recommended $5 per ton. So we're pretty low when you look at those fees, when you look at the Great Lakes region. So that's was in her budget recommendation. And the Community Infrastructure Fund, the Senate created a $372 million fund. That's where our revenue sharing would come out of, and the Community Crime Fund that we talked about earlier. Next. Excuse me. The Revenue Sharing Trust Fund, these are the new House bills that have been introduced. Last legislative session, we were able to get those passed out of the House 106-4. We do expect similar support this legislative session. I talked a little bit about where the Senate is with revenue sharing, why they did not put the revenue sharing trust fund in the budget. And we could not get them to vote on it last session. Some positive movement on the Senate side, and we expect the same kind of support in the House side. So we'll keep you updated on that as we start moving through the legislative process on those bills. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about roads. Huge increase for counties for roads. Basically, every county almost gets 100% increase in funding for their county roads. That would obviously go through your road commission if you have a road commission. The way the House plan has come out is would get rid of sales tax on gasoline, replace that sales tax with a revenue neutral gasoline tax. So people at the pump would pay the exact same amount that they're paying now. They also do some shifts with the corporate income tax to the Michigan business tax and some changes there. And so all these changes would have impact on general fund. A little bit concerning to us as we are funded through revenue sharing through the general fund. Puts a lot more pressure on the general fund. But we are willing to fight that fight later to get these dollars back to counties for roads and increasing our county roads. We haven't seen the governor's plan yet. What she's talked about, there's some similarities between the House plan and the governor's plan, but we haven't seen any details on her plan or Senate plan at this point. Next slide, please. This slide talks a little bit about indigent defense expansion. Those two bills, the Senate bill and the House bill, would expand the powers to include youth defense, would increase the Indigent Defense Commission from 18 to 19 members. That 19th member would be a youth defense expert. And the bigger concern there is the disbursement model changes from 3 to 4 payments. So a little bit more out of the pocket at the local level before you're getting funded for those indigent defense costs. Keep in mind any sort of change at the state level, cost increase at the state level with regards to indigent defense has to be funded by the state. It is not funded by the county level. That's part of statute in indigent defense. So that's one of our concerns there. Next slide, please. So the public safety fund. So these are the policy bills. I talked a little bit about the budget bills. These are the policy bills. So you can kind of see the House plan has passed the policy bills. That's about $115 million. So a lot of different moving parts there. And you can kind of see how the first 75 million of the House bills, how they are to be distributed and used. The remaining 40 million would be available to counties. So you got the 60 million, or you got the 40 million here. You got the budget bills that have different dollar figures. So they're all kind of moving at different paces and different times. We'll see how it all comes together as we move through the budget process. But both on the Senate side and the House side, some positive dollars for counties there. Next slide, please. Veteran service grants. So a lot of counties were impacted by this. We talked about it a little bit at our conference. Basically, the MVA was over appropriated grants out, and we're telling counties we don't have enough money to fulfill the grants we promised you, basically. Representative Rogers has introduced the bill forward 4423, which would make up that difference. So that 3.7 million shortfall would be made up through a budget supplemental bill to make sure that all counties that applied for those grants would be getting those grants for this budget cycle. So we have had some verbal bipartisan support from legislators on that, making sure that counties aren't left holding the bag on that, because everyone planned on it. We should be entitled to the dollars going forward. So we'll keep you updated on how those bills move, or that bill moves. Next slide, please. These are our policy committees. I know many of you have served on our committees or currently serve on our policy committees. You don't have to come to Lansing. I know it's a long drive, experiencing that drive myself. You can participate remotely. Most people actually do participate remotely. We've been doing that for years. And it's a very good way to help shape policy at our association. So those are the committees. They all meet typically from January to October each year, and then take a little break in the winter or in the summer, and give everyone a chance to get a deep breath and look back in the fall. So if you're interested in applying, you can apply at our website, micounties.org, and fill out an application. Next slide, please. We do have a MAC PAC. We use it primarily to support those former county commissioners in the legislature. We have about 26 former county commissioners right now. We call those our county caucus. Those are folks that sat in your shoes at one point in time. We try to not let them forget where they came from, and this PAC helps to do that. I talked about services. These are some of the services we provide. CoPro Plus is a collaborative purchasing program that has over 100 contracts that are piggybackable by counties. So if you think of the My Deal program, this is a program that's more focused on county services or county products. So you can go on there, see the contract, see what you'll be paying. A lot of counties enjoy that ability to pay a lower rate for services they're already or commodities they're already paying for. A newer program is our Savvy program. It's a student loan forgiveness program. Basically, they call themselves a TurboTax for student loan forgiveness program. There's over 160 of them out there. It scrubs all those programs and tells your county employees what they are eligible or ineligible for. So some people are using it as an employee retainment tool. So some options out there. If there are any further questions, you can reach out to me offline and be happy to talk about those more. Next slide, please. And then our communication tools, hopefully you're getting our weekly updates that go out every Friday. We've gone back to a printed newsletter that comes out every other month. We do a podcast once a week, Twitter, Facebook, all those sort of things that are great. So hopefully you're following those and getting all the information you need. We try to arm you with as much information as possible without making it overwhelming. So hopefully you're finding value in that. Appreciate any feedback or anything back to the team or any questions you may have.
Anybody got any questions, Steve? Thanks, Steve. It's been great, good to get you here in person.
No problem. It was a great drive. Beautiful morning to drive. So thank you.
Good. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan,
Morning. Yes. The Veterans Office is just requesting approval from the board to submit the FY 26 County Veteran Service Fund grant application. There is no county matches, as usual, and then the grant committee pending, it's been sent to the grant committee for approval. We're using the grant primarily for marketing with radio ads, plus ads, newspaper, and then some promotional items that just advertise our service to veterans. Just talking about the overages and how some counties were stuck with the bill. Our county was not impacted by that. That was counties that take more than that were allotted base amount. We traditionally have taken less than the base amount, so it didn't impact us. It did impact a lot of those bigger counties that take, a lot more money that was allocated to them. They obligated that money, they spent that money, and then when the state handed down the money, they were short and the county was stuck, their counties were stuck with the bill. So I know there's a lot of talk between the counties and the state to bridge that gap and get some of the money back. And that's that bill he was talking about. That's all I have is just a request to submit next year's grant.
I entertain a motion for the grant.
I'll support.
Support by Commissioner Konashevsky, support. I'll support it. By Commissioner LaHaye. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thanks, Dan.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for being on top of your budget, Dan.
Dan.
So today brought you the tax rate request for 2025 resolution signatures. So this year, because we scheduled elections, I put both summer and winter on the same request. Has the operating list at the top and the extra voted millage rates listed in the December column. So I won't have to come back unless there should happen to be an election, change this. This should be the only one that we have to approve for this year. So this is just housekeeping. We have to do this every year with the rates after the county equalization has been done and just taxable values have been calculated. So this is the new tax rate request form for 2025.
You get to read the resolution.
You don't have to read those. So dated May 13, 2025, Honorable Board of Commissioners resolution imposing the 2025 summer and winter property tax levy pursuant to Public Act 357 of 2004 and notice of certification of county allocated tax levy. Whereas Alpena County is authorized under the General Property Tax Act, Public Act 206 of 1893, as amended to levy and collect county allocated property taxes. And whereas the General Property Tax Act has been amended by Public Act 357 of 2004, being MCL 211.44A, to require all Michigan counties to impose a summer property tax levy. Be it further resolved, that pursuant to Public Act 357, 2004, the Alpena County allocated tax levy collected and to be collected on July 1st, 2025, allocated application after allocated application of the Headley millage reduction fraction of 4.7599 mils for the summer levy in Alpena County extra voted millages on December 1st, 2025, at a rate allocated after application of Headley millage reduction fraction of 4.7339 mils for winter. Be it further resolved that the treasurer for each city and township in Alpena County is directed to account and deliver the county allocated an extra voted millage 2025 in accordance with the provision of Act 357 of 2004, and be it further resolved that the resolution constitutes certification of the levy allocated tax July 1st, 2025, allocated after the application of Headley millage reduction fraction 4.7599 mils for summer and 4.7339 for extra voted. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the 2025 millage rate for July 1st, 2025 of Alpena County 4.7599 is hereby adopted, and the total extra voted millage rate for 2001 is 4.7339. May it be further resolved that the Alpena County July and December shall be levied as follows. County operating 4.7599, levied July 1st, 2025. Libraries 0.7438, levied December 1st, 2025. Library 0.2478, levied December 1st, 2025. Ambulance services 1.4953, levied December 1st, 2025. County jail 0.9916, levied December 1st, 2025. Older persons 0.548, levied December 1st, 2025. Veteran services 0.2092, levied December 1st, 2025. Recreational 0.4982, levied December 1st, 2025, for a total of operating 4.7599 and extra voted of 4.7339. Be it further resolved that the county clerk shall deliver a copy of this resolution by first class mail to the county, to the treasurer and city of each township in Alpena County, and be it further resolved that the chairperson of the Board of Commissioners and the county clerk be authorized to sign the form L4025 2025 tax rate request with the above mentioned millages, and now further, therefore, be it hereby resolved that this resolution be adopted by the County Board of Commissioners at the regular meeting, May 13, 2025.
That was a mouthful.
That is the mouth. Thank you.
I'd entertain a motion,
I'll make
this
it.
resolution.
I'll
Commissioner
support.
Cornier, support by Commissioner Brave. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ludlow.
Yes.
Commissioner Bray. Yes. Commissioner Fournier. Yes. Commissioner Britton.
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Lahey.
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
Cindy.
Attached, you'll have the balance sheet report for the general fund. We have reserve funds of $268,014. Unrestricted fund balance of $4,258,473.43. With an ending fund balance of $2,676,102.20. So if you take the ending fund balance, take away the reserve fund balance, it leaves you an unreserved fund balance of $2,408,088.20. And you have the revenue and expense comparisons for 2020 through 25. Last month, revenues were 788, 783.41. And expenses were 1,125,298.38. 298.38. And then you have an expenditure and a revenue comparison report for last year in April and this year in April.
Any questions, Cindy? Entertain a motion to receive and file the treasurer's report. Motion by Commissioner Fournier, support by Commissioner Britton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thanks, Cindy. Jesse.
Actually, my first item, I'm going to invite Mayor Johnson up to discuss an issue we ran into with the USDA appropriation for the NMMA.
So do you want me to brief explanation? NAMA applied for the, put in a grant or spending through the county because NAMA wasn't formed yet. So the county put in the application for recycling for $2.7 million through Stabenow's office. And we were awarded that. It's in the county's name. So we have worked for the last year and a half to try to get it into NAMA's name. And we've jumped through all of the hoops and provided all of the information that they needed and wanted. And the answer is still no. So what they need now is a joint application between NAMA and the county. So what needs to happen is the same application needs to go in, except that NAMA has to be in it, in the application. So it's a joint application. That's the only way that they'll release that money. So what we need the commissioners to do is to approve the joint application. Commissioner Kozlowski would be the signature on that and me as chair of NEMA. All of the money we have to do a joint account. All of the money has to be in that joint account for the federal government releases a 2.7 million. So that is a request. So we need you to approve, put in the joint application that Commissioner Kozlowski signs it. Did I miss anything? And we need the county's UEI number, which is your federal identification number. And there is a paper that's no-fi, and I don't think that Michelle is on mine. And we're not sure what that is. We think what it is, and she was going to get us information, is that you don't need a third party to administer this loan, this grant, any of this money, that it'll be done by NAMA. But you'll have to sign that piece of paper. We'll get that to you as soon as USDA gets it to us. Outside of that, that's where we are.
Is that slowing down your process?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And has. They kept telling us if we did, A, they could move it forward. If we did B, they could move it forward. And then we got a new person that is now working on this and from the USDA. So it was assigned to somebody else, and she's been so much easier to work with, and she is trying to push it forward. But their legal department said no, that we cannot take it out of your name and just put it. We can't do it. We can do it through a joint application. So right now, RRS, it's in a draft. RRS is working on that joint application. So it would be basically the same application that you currently have with us added to it.
So that money is actually in your account? Or where is it?
It's still with the federal government.
Okay, so they haven't released it?
No.
Okay.
Sound like it, yeah.
They won't. Wait.
If you get the money, then who's gonna administrate money? Who's gonna
But NEMA would do that because we have to put all of the money that we'll have $5.7 million that will all be put into one account. But that allows us to, put out the bids, pay the contractors, do all that. County doesn't have to do any of that. We'll do all the reporting. So you know what's going on.
The board, that,
Yes.
FEMA board, yeah. Okay, I'll make a motion, we do that. Motion by Commissioner Lahey, support
I'll support.
by Commissioner Brave, more discussion.
I am afraid Bingham County has already stepped up to. And now you come back to us and want us to step up again. I just can't put that pressure on the people of Alpena County. I can't even put that pressure on us. I don't know why they won't let you do it. There has to be a reason. And I wished I knew that reason.
The reason is because the county originally put in the request, so it came from the county. Mary Catherine put that in.
You're no longer with us.
So I know that, but on behalf of the county, she
So why
did.
don't you put in for it?
Well, because we've already.
You did.
We've
they
already
already
did it.
did,
We've
yeah.
already got it.
Catherine is no longer here.
That has nothing to do with the
But
county.
Yeah.
they approved the application,
Yeah.
the original application, to give NEMA the 2.7 million.
And NEMA had not been formed yet.
Yeah.
All of that came after that money was.
I just can't do it. That's me. I don't know about the rest of the board, but being we already went to the people and asked for money to help us, and now we're going deeper in debt, basically with the city to get this going.
Well, first of all, it's not with the city. This is a county program.
Yeah, well, then if the county owns it, why ain't we taking care of it and the city is and the county ain't?
But okay, first of all, you have to understand, I'm not here as the mayor of the city of Alpena. I am here as the chair of NEMA. The request is to move recycling forward, which is a county program. It's not our program, it's yours. So if we're going to move this forward and get all of the money together in one spot to make the USDA happy, so they release the $2.7 million, we can move forward with the facility. If that doesn't happen, this is done.
So it sounds
And
like the
it's-
county is gonna be responsible for everything.
No,
No, it
NEMA
doesn't,
is.
to me, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
if we don't do this, this thing's gonna fail.
Right, it's throwing, I feel that they've gotten this far. I don't know. It's scary, but I think we should take a chance.
Well, this really isn't obligating us for anything.
No.
They're giving us $2.7 million in a grant, so.
Okay, is
Instead
the
of-
grant to have to be paid back?
No, no,
This is a free grant.
Yeah,
yes.
so.
Not gonna cost
Difference-
the
The
county.
difference is,
No.
what she's saying is that when the original grant was submitted, it was submitted in the name of Alpena County. And they won't release NEMA the 2.7 million, and they need it in their pot, bank, whatever you want to call it. So that way they can have all the money in one pot to be able to then proceed with starting the building, so.
I wonder if it's a protective measure too, with everything that is being looked at financially by the government. Is that like, this is a real minor thing, but it could be something that is all of a sudden rejected because of the name.
Well, if suddenly, no, it's just federal government has a lot of rules and a lot of hoops to jump through. So if you've done any, and you have with the
So
federal.
if they release, let's just say we didn't change anything, they would release the money to Alpena County.
No, because all of the money has to be in one pot.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just hypothetical. They said, okay, we didn't change anything. They would release it to us. But in order for you to do something, we would still have to move the money to you anyway. And I don't know how you do that. If they gave Alpena County the money, the grant money, we're not the ones gonna proceed with building a new facility. So,
That's backwards.
well,
That's federal government.
not necessarily.
Yeah, I know,
because-
yeah, but-
because like you said, when the original grant was submitted, requested, NEMA wasn't really a thing. It wasn't, the entity hadn't been created, formed. So that was an idea of where we were going with this new facility. They gave us the money, how many years ago? It was
Oh, God.
2 or 3 years ago?
About 3 now.
Yeah, so it's just timing wise, had NAMA been an entity 4 years ago, this wouldn't have been a problem.
We would have applied, it would have been fine, but once an entity has applied for that money, it's nearly impossible to
So
transfer.
we're just changing the application that was already submitted and adding, that's the only difference that we're doing.
And the draft is being worked on, and as soon as we have the information, the EI number and all of that, Annie will punch it in and then, we'll send that around for signatures.
Then how much longer is that gonna take you to be able to move
Then
forward?
we have to submit it to the USDA and then it's back in their lab. I do have to say that Michelle works faster than the last lady that we had.
Okay.
And she had one project in front of this one, in front of ours. So she said as soon as she gets that off her plate, this will become her number one priority. So I'm hoping that after the application is put in, we will move forward relatively quickly. So by the time we put out our bonds, we can put out our RFPs. USDA has those right now. As soon as they say go ahead. RFPs
You released, oh, okay.
So we're ready to move and hopefully start construction this summer.
Any more discussion?
Yes. I believe you asked the question when the money comes to us.
No, it won't. I would just say, doing a hypothetical, said, if it came to us,
If
then we
it's
would have to
not
find a
going
way
to.
to get it. No, once we sign this new joint application, then they will be able to receive the money.
In a joint account.
In a joint
In
account,
a joint account.
it goes in a joint account because
But if
all,
I need money, by a debit card?
no. But yes, it has to be in a joint account. And we move all of the money for construction into that account. And then it'll come out, we'll pay bills, contractors, it'll be accounted for. We will be kept up to date on everything that we do, so you know that it's being.
I'm looking at Cindy and she's giving.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit more, yeah, it's
A bit
gonna be
more
more,
work.
yeah,
It's a lot more stuff for us in our office with 3 people,
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
might have to.
because we're not gonna just be a signer on it and not be able to look at anything or see what's happening with it.
Might have.
Well,
to-
0.7 million.
Yeah, and all of this thing is on your books anyway. So when you do your audit and stuff, all of that, anything to do with recycling currently is on your books. So this is an added.
Anything else?
I'm a little confused. If we've been granted the grant, why don't we accept the grant and just put it into the joint account?
Because the grant is only for 2.7 million. This is the 5 point.
You have to have
You have to have.
everything to get that
They're
grant.
not giving you the 2.7. They're not sending it to you until we have bond money, all of the other money that we've collected, everything. The $2.7 million will be the last thing that they transfer into that account once we've met all the requirements.
You had to have all the other money before, they had to have all the other money before they get to 2.75.
Okay, got it.
You know how this was brand new where the state enforced this land, you had to do this? Is it federally new too, or is this nationwide, this this?
And it took the federal government a long time, I'm talking a long time, to even decide what entity they were going to put the $2.7 million under, and they finally put it under USDA so that we could start the process, but they held on to the money for a year. Nobody moved anywhere. We couldn't start working with any organization until we knew where they put it. So USDA, we worked with the lady in Traverse City.
so the 2.7 is actually federal money?
Maybe get it as soon as you can.
Anything else? We got motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Oh,
Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
You'll get with them, get with everybody and get it moving.
We'll get it moving.
Okay. Jesse, continue.
Sure. So the next item is a credit card discussion. In speaking with our auditors, one thing that we keep running into is we keep getting credit card charges where there's no receipts that are turned in with it to support whatever the charge is. And one thing that they had recommended that we look into, other counties do it, is injecting language which would require receipts for reimbursement. And failure to do so would basically leave the individual responsible for that charge. It's becoming a bookkeeping issue. It's becoming a major concern with our auditor. Again, it's across multiple departments, multiple cardholders.
Was it in our policy before?
No. It says that they should turn it in, but there's no teeth to it. So this would just put teeth
I
in.
don't have any problem. I'll make a motion that we require receipts to be turned in with credit cards. I mean, it just makes sense.
I'll support.
A motion by Commissioner Kozlowski, support by Commissioner Fournier.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, and then failure to do so would leave them
Yeah.
responsible. Okay, I
I
just.
said that, you must have been right.
Okay.
No, I didn't say, yes.
Any discussion?
No, I'm good.
Give me a roll call.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow.
Yes.
Commissioner Bray,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And then the second part of the credit card discussion, Jennifer, you have to remind me of the names. We do have to get 3 new credit cards and the board does have to approve those individuals getting those credit cards. Basically, it's just with Wes having left, Steve having left, and they're requiring names being put on them now. So we need a new one for the commissioner's office as well. That it was recommended to go under the board chair's name. So we would just
Get
need,
a credit card?
yeah.
Right.
It would basically be John Kozlowski, Edward McHiggins, and Nick Akins able to receive credit cards in place of the former ones.
Need a motion on that?
Yeah.
That motion.
Motion by Commissioner Fournier, support by Commissioner Konashevsky. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Bray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Your credit card $100 limit.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's too much.
That's too much, yeah. That's a lot of Taco Bell though. So.
Taco Bell, yeah. You start seeing a bunch of Taco Bell.
So the last item, Chairman, is proposed budget process for FY 2026. I apologize for the formatting of this. It looks like it kind of went wonky when we uploaded it. So we are going to start just a couple weeks later than we did last year. Part of that is so we can close out June's books and we'll have a cleaner idea, or I guess a better view of what the other half of the 25 budget's going to bring as we use those numbers to build the 2026 budget. I don't have much else to say. It's pretty explanatory. Everything is in there. So we would begin July 8th, kicking it off with budget subcommittee assignment distributions. On July 22nd, the budget subcommittee work would conclude and reports to be turned in. August 12th through the 26th, we would have elected officials present before the board. September 9th through the 23rd, the department heads would present. On the 26th of September, I would submit the CIP list. On the 29th of September through October 24th, treasurer, clerk, and myself would compile the draft budget. On the 28th of October, review of the budget with presentation by myself to the board. November 12th, the first reading of the budget, where you would get final input, final adjustments. November 25th, the second reading, where you vote to publicly display the budget. And then December 9th as well, we'll have a public hearing and adoption. If it doesn't, we'll hold December 23rd as a backup date. And these all coincide, I should say, with full board or finance ways and means meetings. So they'll be immediately before or after. That way you are not having to meet multiple times throughout the week.
Good. I got one question.
Yes, sir.
Stuff from Nikki, is that part of the agenda? We're supposed to be part of the agenda. It's in the packet.
It's under budget adjustments.
That's, yeah, budget adjustments.
Budget adjustments, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Make a motion, we accept the budget process timeline. Got a motion by Commissioner LaHaye, support by Commissioner Britton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Budget adjustments. You want, gonna handle this, you wanna,
You want, oh, I'm so,
yeah,
apologies. They're presenting, I guess I can ask, or answer any questions, or we can have the department.
come up, Nikki, and
Absolutely.
explain this.
Apologies.
Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I have two of them on the agenda for today, one under home improvement and one under public conservator. Do you have a preference which order I?
Go ahead.
On the home improvement side, this was really just kind of as we're approaching mid-year and I have a better idea on where our funding sources lie with grants that we're administering through the home improvement program. I feel like I can come up with some better numbers than at budget time last year. As it is for everybody, it's a guessing game in the summer of the previous year, just knowing how these grants are going to be spent out. Some spent out a little higher in 2024. And anyway, My Hope grant specifically has been a big one that's been multiple years in the making. We applied for it in 2022. We kind of selected our homeowners in 2023. Got starting to finally spend those dollars in 2024, and now the bulk of that is happening presently. We've got 17 applicants under that grant. We have finished 2 of those in 2024. 4 have been completed to date in 2025, and the remainder, the other 11 are now under contract, and I know what dollars we're going to spend this year, which brings me to the adjustment that I requested under that Mission My Hope grant. In order to increase the expenditures, I also increased what we'll be getting in grant dollars from MISTA as well. And that all, as I've emphasized in my memo, will continue to leave the housing fund with a positive net end result. So I'm just asking for the revenue and the expenditure to be adjusted as I've indicated. And then under the current HPG grant, it's really a small increase. I needed an increase of $14,500 to spend the balance of what I anticipate under our current HPG grant. That may require an additional amendment at the end of the year if USDA and Rural Development announces another opportunity for me to apply for an additional grant yet this year. That's not happened yet. So this is just finishing up a grant that we were already awarded in 2024. Any questions on that one?
No, I think we need a motion to approve these
I'll
budget
make a
adjustments.
motion to approve the adjustment for,
Motion by Commissioner Kozlowski, support
I'll support.
by Commissioner Bray. Any more questions? Roll call, please.
Is that just these budget or is that all?
This, those two.
Just, okay, sorry.
Uh,
Commissioner Konashevsky,
yes?
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Bray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
On the other items, we have a small adjustment.
Got the one.
Just got one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kind of big one in my personal life on the
Yeah.
conservator side.
Yeah.
As we all know in the room, the beginning of April was a unique experience for all of us. And I'm not usually before you very often on the public conservator side of things. But I had a husband and wife clients of the public conservator's office that got displaced from their home during the ice storm. And in an emergency situation, I swiped my card to put them in a hotel. It was stressful. There wasn't another way to pay for this on their behalf in the moment. I didn't put it on the paperwork, but I housed their dog as well. And don't even get me going there. Anyway, at the end of all of that, they were housed at the Ramada here in Alpena for 16 days, to the grand total of $1,540.38, which I would love to be reimbursed for. The only thing is, when I'm managing other people's finances through the public conservator's office, I would never have their money flow straight to me. That would be absolutely an inappropriate way to do business. So we do have a line item in the public conservator budget that we've sometimes used over the years. They've been for $10 and $20 items in the past. This is obviously much bigger than what it was ever intended for, but it is a clean avenue for the county to pay me what I've paid out of my pocket. And then the clients can pay the county immediately to make it a complete dollar for dollar reimbursement. So I am asking to be reimbursed for that expense. And then shortly after that, I had another client who had a fire in the home. And at 5:15 in the afternoon, putting her in a hotel, I just swiped my card over the phone. It was in Oscoda and there just was not another way to do it and nobody else was available to deal with that emergency situation. So I would like the same reimbursement.
So the clients reimburse the county? That's what you said, the clients that you place, they have to.
So under the public conservator's office, we are appointed as, in one of those situations, guardian of finances. And with the larger one, with the husband and wife, we are strictly the representative payee for Social Security appointed by the Social Security Administration. Nikki Yanish is not appointed. The Office of Alpena County Public Conservator holds that title. But I, as the representative of that office, literally administer their finances. I have their checkbook. I receive their income every month. I pay their bills, account to the courts, account to Social Security for all of that activity. So I have the authority to write a check out of their personal funds to pay the county of Alpena for that expense.
And they have the means to do that?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
not always, but
Yeah.
in these situations it did, and I would have never eaten that cost, it was really not having a payment method. It wasn't that they couldn't afford the expense. It was that they're vulnerable adults that don't, because they have a financial decision maker in their life, they don't have access to credit or debit cards. So when you're dealing with hotels on the fly like that and trying to work out some alternative way to pay those expenses. Like I said, I indicated it in my memo. This is not normal course of business. This is not something that I would make a practice of doing, nor would I encourage anybody to. It was.
We provided good
It was
documentation.
unique in the moment.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for the budget adjustments and bill payment.
Both payments?
Yep.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Kozlowski, support by Commissioner Ludlow. I'll get you on there, Dan. Any more discussion?
We just passed a new policy that you have your receipts. Do you have a copy of it?
I've actually already put,
Roll call, please.
their receipts are in the packet.
That's for both of them.
Yeah, good job.
Gary.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Bray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thanks, Nikki. Good job.
Thanks for stepping up. Would it be easier? Could you get a card attached to your account or something like this? Just like you say, to make it cleaner next time?
It might be worth considering. I don't know that I would want to have that discretion without, I guess I clearly made a decision on my own in this situation, so what would be the difference? But I guess if the situation ever arose again, I would feel more comfortable justifying doing it ahead and coming and spending county dollars in that scenario. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing, and I hope it never just comes up again.
Yeah.
I've been doing this job for almost 20 years and I've never done that.
Okay.
I feel confident it's not going to be a reoccurring situation.
Yeah.
And I work hard to make sure it doesn't, and usually bring other people involved. If community mental health is on board, sometimes somebody through that agency can step up and figure out a way, take the client's money, go to Walmart, get a prepaid Visa card if we need to come up with treatment options. I don't know that I need to request
I was just
payment
curious.
method, but I appreciate the thought. And I'll put more thought into that, in case it ever does arise again.
Or maybe it's easier with the treasurer if we use Jesse's card or John's card or something. But and you have a line item that kind of works anyway, whatever.
Sure.
I
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Kim, you got something for us? On the budget adjustment?
Maybe Jesse wants to make life easier.
Yeah, I can make it very easy, actually. The board had already made an adjustment where they sent some money over into a line item under her budget to pay for the two staff that the sheriff department had sent over during the ice storm. This is just a correction because it ended up being a little bit higher than what we anticipated. So this is just to make that correction, fulfill that payment, and then also make it easier for Director Elke to get those funds back through reimbursement. If it's under her budget, it makes it easier. So
You don't need a motion on that. That's already supported, right?
no, this would be a new one. So this would just be like part two. But if you want, I could also give you the Plaza Pool and you could do both.
Okay, yeah, I think to make our life easier.
The Plaza Pool, this is an easy one. We had two grants that didn't make their way over into the corrected Plaza Pool budget. The money's sitting there. The line items just weren't taken over. So there was a little bit of money spent the previous year, so we made that adjustment. That's why instead of the 3,000 from FY '24, you only see 1,901. And then 1,250 from the Northeast Michigan Women's Giving Circle Fund grant. Again, both of those were received late last year when we had to redo the Plaza Pool budget. Once the contract was voided out and we hired Kim on, these two items just somehow passed through and we didn't get them listed. So the money's there. We just have to have them listed so she can spend it.
You want to combine those, somebody combine those two with the adjustment?
Well, you got three actually, right?
Technically two, number 3 and number 4, budget adjustment for emergency management and budget adjustment for Plaza Pool.
Okay. Make a motion to approve those budget adjustments.
Support. We have support. Support. We have motion by Commissioner Kozlowski, support by Commissioner Fournier. Take those two budget adjustments. Roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow.
Yes.
Commissioner Bray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We got a motion to rise and repeat. All yours, John.
Okay. So first item, next item is the consent calendar. Has everyone had a chance to review the consent calendar?
Need to correct the minutes for the facilities meeting on 4:30 because I was not there.
Yep. Is that, Jesse, want
And that's one other correction on the personnel minutes. It states that there was discussion on whether or not to include unions in discussion on the LOU, and it should have been department heads or elected officials.
So we'll just get those items adjusted, corrected. Any other items that anyone has like to poll or question about? If not,
Make a motion.
well,
Calendar.
so I was gonna pull one.
You can pull them.
Yeah, AC number 2, which was the discussion about the what was it, Mount Morency filling the EM position. So I just wanted to pull that one. Anybody else have any other things? If not, then I'd look for motion to. So Bill has a motion to approve the consent calendar. Support by Commissioner Britton. Roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow.
Yes.
Commissioner Bray,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
and Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, the item that I wanted to pull, let me just get to it. So it was the action item number 2, PC action item number 2. Committee recommends approval to move forward with filling the emergency management position without partnering with Montmorency County as presented. So one of the, well, just, I guess, comment on this. One of the issues that I have with these is, yeah, I know in the minutes, I read that, the amount was in there. And I do know on all three items that there were increases, in those items, financially. But those amounts weren't addressed in the items. But with this one in particular, it's absorbing the cost for Montmorency. Alpena would cover the 45,000. So I think that, I know we talked and that was like a total of roughly, what was it, 90,000-ish?
I would have to pull that, but I know the salary was between 60 and 65. So I would assume probably once we go through with insurance and social security and all the benefits and whatnot, it'd probably be close to 90.
Yeah. And I know, so I guess my concern is for, we're gonna, and I'm sure, because we always can find the money this year, but moving forward, when we're looking at another full-time position, and I'm not saying anything negative against what you've done or how the office runs, but, I know that I was for this when we were looking at partnering with Montmorency because we would just cover our portion and basically we're splitting the responsibilities between two counties. I was disappointed to find out after talking to Montmorency that they did go in a different direction. They're going to absorb an entire emergency management position. And I'm not sure how they're going to do that because they get funded basically the same way we do, which is not going to be to cover that whole position. So my feeling is I'd like to at least hold off because we're not moving forward with Montmorency. It's not going to cost us anything else. I know we did give those list of names to Montmorency to help them out, which kind of puts us in a pickle because now we don't have those names. But I would like to at least hold off temporarily for this and look at some other options because I do have some ideas or whatever, but I would like to hold off on this temporarily until I can do some research and look at some other options. And at least even dig into a way forward with this additional funding, how we can move forward, in the future. Because it will cost us. We do get the money, some of the money. We don't get all the money. And I'd like to be able to look at a way for us to figure that out. So I don't know if I can do this, but I did pull this item, so I'd like to make a motion to hold off on filling this emergency manager position with the county absorbing the additional 45 for a short period of time while I do some research into this. So we have a motion by me, support by Commissioner Peterson. Any other discussion?
Yes. I'd like to hear from Kim Elke, what she thinks of this.
Patsy.
Well, it does directly affect.
I appreciate your thought. I was teasing. I am also disappointed in the way the situation turned out with Montmorency. We've all put a lot of work into that from Alpena County, and it's very disappointing the way it turned out. That said, I can absolutely, I respect Commissioner Kozlowski's opinion. Dollars are dollars. And if we need to tap the brakes temporarily to make sure that we're moving forward in the best direction for the county, I can absolutely be a team player on that. And I'd be glad to help in any way that I can in that process. I appreciate that you're willing to keep it moving. So I'm encouraged with that. And I just want to thank y'all for your support.
Thank you, Kim. I know, like I said, this is nothing against you or.
No, I don't take it that way.
I am very disappointed with how this whole thing worked out with Montmorency because we were moving forward. I thought we were moving forward in a good direction. I did talk to their board chair and kind of conveyed my disappointment that, this worked out the way it did. again, I'm not sure how they're gonna be able to do what they're gonna do, but their board has chosen to move forward. I think part of the biggest problem was that their board chair was, in a sense, filling the responsibility as the EM over there, and she was, to say the least, overwhelmed with the responsibilities. So fortunately, we had Kim. And she was the key factor in our emergency operations to be able to move forward the way they did. I'm not taking that for granted. Like I said, I do want to at least take the opportunity to look at some other options before we move forward. So.
I think that's entirely fair. And I will say, I would go so far as to say their board chair was traumatized those first few days because, I mean, she's a nurse. She's a brilliant lady. I've known her for many years. But, you know, nobody's prepared for this kind of a situation. And she was literally thrown in the deep end. Fortunately, the state brought up a incident management team a few days in and got them some relief, but Mary was still in the EOC every single day. And it was an unfortunate event. Had that happened a month later, we probably would have already had the contract in place. But it is what it is. And I appreciate that we're making careful steps to move forward to make sure that we set our program up for success. I've worked hard to get our program where it is. I don't want to take any chances on moving us backwards. So I think it's important that all the steps that we make for the future of the program, that we're making them carefully. So I appreciate that.
And I know we've learned some things, which we just talked about yesterday, but, and I don't know how many times I told her that by us combining with them, it would be a huge benefit probably to them, more so than us. We would get that full-time person to focus, but I do know that they would have benefited probably more than we would have, so.
And for those of the commissioners who are newer, so the 911 director and emergency management positions have been combined for quite a long time. And it has that this position has a tendency to burn people out. I don't want to do that. I love what I do. I love coming in. I love the people I work with. And I don't have a plan B for the rest of my career. You're stuck with me. So I appreciate if we can take appropriate measured steps to set both programs up for success into the future and keep me around for a while with some brain cells functioning. To me, that's total win-win. So I can absolutely be patient and work with the process. And I'm willing to be a contributing member of the team to find those solutions.
Kim, how long have you been doing this?
So I took over in 911 3 years ago, January, and 3 years ago, April 1st for EM.
Okay.
Longer than Mark and longer than Bert.
Right.
Yeah, see, when there's that Senate bill, House and Senate bill for $100 million, and some of that stuff might be available.
I've thought about that. I'm not sure because we already received the federal grant for the EM position. I'm not sure that we could get any further funds, but I wouldn't take my word on it.
But yeah, but there are other things that I think if we recoup the costs that would free up money for use in other areas.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It passed the House. I anticipate it going through the Senate pretty quickly. I think it only had one no vote in the House, so it has broad bipartisan support. And then I would assume if the governor was against it, you'd see a couple of people in her party voting against it, and there weren't. So I anticipate it going through pretty quick, and probably, I guess, the funds would be starting to go. Well, we could start applying probably by the end of next month at the latest.
I know we've been talking about getting one, and the board had made their decision, yes, for you. I don't know what took John so long to think about it, but.
I wasn't here.
Oh, you weren't here when we discussed? it?
No, not for personnel.
And you never thought about it?
Oh, I did.
So I myself would like to move forward because you've been 3 years is enough and you could get burnt out. So all I've got is.
Thank you for your support. I want to thank y'all. You've been very supportive through the storm and everything else. I just want to thank y'all for your support. It really truly means more than you know.
Thanks,
Thank
Kim.
you.
Any other comments? If not, could you do a roll call?
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Bray,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Now,
Commis-
I would like to know the yes or no. Yeses for what?
to hold off on it,
Okay, no.
do more research. Sorry. Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Hay,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. So that was the last item. Public comment, any public comment? Public comment online?
No.
They will close public comment. Then I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner LaHaye,
I'll support.
support by Commissioner Bray, or adjourned.